Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now November 18th of 2024, and there's been a lot of things going on within the film industry, within the Hollywood bubble, if you will, between different producers, actors, actresses, writers, directors, executive producers. I mean, the list goes on and on. I could talk about this all day, but focusing specifically on Jimmy Kimmel in isolation, he's been going through a rough time lately, the past two and a half weeks or so, and specifically this also has a lot to do with Sylvester Stallone. There's a lot of things going on between the two that we have to actually address and go over, and what's been going on between these two icons. Now, what's interesting about this is that Jimmy Kimmel, I've really pointed this out several times, is that he is by far, in my opinion, the worst late night television host out there. He doesn't belong on late night television. That's just my opinion. And when you look at what he actually did on the show, when he cried about people's political views and their side of their beliefs, really just goes to show you how fragile some of these individuals are within the film industry, within the Hollywood bubble, if you will. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, look, we know that two individuals like Sylvester Stallone and Jimmy Kimmel, they are very much in the public eye a lot of the time. They are very well known, and this is where things begin to get quite awkward. Now, what's interesting about Kimmel right now is that he seems like he's going into this meltdown. It seems like he's beginning to go on the blame game train, much like many other actors and actresses out there, those like Robert De Niro, for example, and many others out there as well. But what's interesting about this has a lot more to do with Kimmel's overall view of Sylvester Stallone and how he's actually reacting to Stallone's recent political endorsement. Let's get into this. Now, with the entire film industry now in shambles after pushback coming from the general public, one significant development going on now involves more to do with Kimmel and the growing tensions he is now having with actor Sylvester Stallone after Stallone endorsed his side of politics publicly just a couple of days ago. Now, a sudden move coming from specifically and personally from Jimmy Kimmel is that he recently had a falling out with of course, Sly Stallone, and openly supported him one side of the country, and this reportedly deeply disturbed Jimmy Kimmel. Such, of course, Kimmel to the point where he was best described as a big fan of the Rocky movies and Sylvester as an actor. Now, Kimmel and his entire writing team felt betrayed by Stallone for making his public endorsement to the point that Kimmel recently demanded ABC and the Walt Disney Company to cancel all upcoming interviews for the Jimmy Kimmel Live show, both in 2024 and 2025, that were supposed to involve Sly Stallone. Now, the cancellation of these interviews were best described to promote upcoming projects by Sylvester Stallone that fell into his plans, for example, with his reality TV series, The Family Stallone. Now, upcoming interviews for his reality TV show, of course, and anything promotional for Stallone's reality TV show and the Jimmy Kimmel Live show have now been canceled at last minute with no notice at all. This reportedly stirred up drama behind the scenes that also involved Stallone's agent and manager, with the ABC executives believing that their promotion for their TV show is set in stone. Now, already now, Sly Stallone is looking to call out Jimmy Kimmel on either Sirius XM or another major outlet to expose the true details of what happened between the business deal. Now, Kimmel, however, took Stallone's endorsement personally, not just on a business or professional level, and also believed that bringing Stallone on his show would tank ratings further. Already, the Jimmy Kimmel Live show's ratings are declining sharply and only had a temporary spike, a surge, if you will, after the crying incident on television a week and a half ago. In addition to this, Stallone is already very furious with Kimmel's last-minute call to cancel interviews that were set to drop by this December, March, and April, all of which have now been axed from Kimmel's schedule quickly and without notice. Now, guys, let me just say one thing, alright? It's one thing to criticize somebody that has their own political views, either publicly or behind their back. It's another thing to take it so personally to the point that you have to cancel interviews with them, and that you claim that you believe it's going to tank your ratings further. Hey, if anything, I think it would actually increase Jimmy Kimmel's ratings at this point, because, look, a lot of people love Sylvester Stallone. A lot of people actually do support Sylvester Stallone. They love his work. They grew up with the Rocky movies. They grew up with all of his work in the Rambo films, and believe it or not, there are people that do support his overall path to going into the reality TV business. I may not be a big supporter of that, but I do respect it. And he does have support behind it. We have to actually put out the facts. But what's interesting about this is that Jimmy Kimmel is taking things way too personally when it comes to these actors really coming out and telling it like it is and saying, you know, their political views and endorsing their overall side. And I think at the end of the day, this really just goes to show you how fragile Hollywood truly is. This is why you've had people out there like James Woods and Sylvester Stallone, and among others, that have publicly made it, you know, out there that Hollywood really does have this weak side to them. It really is very thin-skinned when it comes to a lot of their producers, a lot of the talking heads over there, but I digress. Now, to continue on, Stallone, along with his team, such as his agent and manager, argue with the ABC executives, and this was both unacceptable and unprofessional according to them on Jimmy's part. The only reason ABC and Disney agreed to Kimmel's demands is that he brought up the argument of Stallone and his political views would tank ratings further than what's going on right now, and Kimmel, believe it or not, is desperately trying to latch on to whatever is left of his career, since Disney already dropped Kimmel from a major project that was fully intended to drop on Disney+. Stallone is now looking to make a special appearance on 3 other major shows, some of which are podcasts, some of which are live television shows, others of which are pre-taped material, one of which is said to be Joe Rogan, the other of which is said to be Gutfeld, as well as a special appearance on Jimmy Fallon instead, after the Jimmy Kimmel incident. Now look, again, we know that Sylvester Stallone is, you know, a real great actor, and I think that any project that he's involved in gets a lot of praise, and rightfully so. I think he's doing a lot of great work, by the way, with Paramount. He's also doing a lot of great work with a lot of other projects that he plans to throw out there. And at the same exact time, you would think that Kimmel would put Sylvester Stallone's political views behind him and really just focus on the projects, focus on his overall career, and leave it like that in isolation. But no, Jimmy Kimmel can't do that because he's too thin-skinned. He can't take things on a personal level, it seems. So that's another problem. And this is also, I think, going to backfire on ABC's part. I think it's also going to backfire on the Walt Disney Company even further, especially with Bob Iger trying to create a legacy for himself before he plans to step down by 2026, with the new Disney CEO taking his place. We all know what's going on between Disney and EA right now. They're trying to get the EA guy, the EA CEO, to take over. We'll talk more about that. But interestingly enough, Jimmy Kimmel, once again, making it openly clear that he is a very thin-skinned talking head for the ABC executives, for the Walt Disney Company in its entirety. And if you guys would like to drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and I will catch you guys later.